Welcome everybody. My name's Brian Byrne and I'm EMVCo's Director of Engagement and Operations. And I'd like to welcome you today to EMVCo's webinar on EMV QR Code payments and how EMVCo is supporting the growing use of QR codes for fast and touchless transactions around the world. So let's just go over the agenda. After the welcome, we're going to recognize the fact, and we're very happy about this fact, that we have a lot of attendees on today's call who are not part of the regular EMVCo community. So we'd like to spend just a few minutes at the outset explaining EMVCo's role in the industry and our mission, and just to set a little context for our work in the area of QR codes. Then we'll delve into the specifics of EMV QR Code specifications and supporting programs, including what we're seeing in terms of marketplace adoption around the world. We'll also provide some insights into how we're looking to evolve the EMV QR Code specifications to support changes in technologies and payments, and how interested parties can participate in this work. So let me introduce our other speakers. With me today, we have Bastian Lachie, our Director of Technology. And we're also pleased to welcome Johan Butentag from PASA, the Payments Association of South Africa, who'll be providing insights on EMV QR Code adoption in South Africa. And on the line, we also have Quan Chen. He's the subject matter from our EMV QR Code Task Force, and he's going to be available for the Q&A section of the webinar. All right, so let's jump into a quick overview of EMVCo. So let's start with what EMVCo does and why it matters. I mean, put simply, EMVCo enables millions of seamless and secure card-based payments worldwide. And why does this matter? Well, consumers today expect a payment device to work anywhere in the world, whether it's for face-to-face payments or making a remote payment online. And it's important that the process is familiar, convenient, and reliable for the consumers and businesses who are making payments and the merchants who are accepting them. EMVCo plays a key part in making all of this possible. And how do we do that? Well, EMVCo is a technical body, and we enable card-based payments to work seamlessly and securely worldwide. And we do that by developing specifications and supporting testing, certification, and related marks programs that enable the delivery of consistent and convenient payments for merchants, businesses, and consumers around the world. Key to our work is close collaboration with the payments industry to adapt and evolve these specifications to continue to support technology innovations, the needs of different marketplaces, and changes in consumer behavior. The EMV specifications provide a common foundation for adopting technologies proven to increase security and fight fraud, and they're flexible enough to accommodate the unique needs of different marketplaces and support ongoing innovation. The specifications are developed in collaboration with the payments industry and organizations around the world who use the EMV specifications to develop and deploy products and services that will work together seamlessly and securely for in-store and remote card-based payments. The EMV specifications are made available royalty-free on our EMVCo website. So EMVCo first developed, and we continue to maintain and enhance the EMV chip specifications. They're a blueprint for cards and terminals to work the same way, no matter where they're used. Based on globally adopted EMV chip specifications, chips are now used in billions of credit and debit cards to validate their authenticity and safeguard against counterfeit card fraud. And this is what many people think of when they hear EMV, but it's really just one piece of EMVCo's work today. As advances in technology are making secure card payments possible in new ways, whether online, via mobile devices, or as we're dealing with today using QR codes, EMV specifications have evolved beyond the original EMV specs for chip to support a wide range of technologies for card-based payments, including the EMV chip contactless, mobile, payment tokenization, QR code, secure remote commerce, 3D secure. And EMV continues to expand its portfolio of specifications to support the widespread adoption of these technologies for delivering convenient and reliable payment. Key to the ongoing development, enhancement, and evolution of the EMV specifications is collaboration with the payments industry. Payments industry stakeholders around the world, including merchants, issuers, acquirers, payment networks, both global and domestic, financial institutions, manufacturers, technology providers, testing laboratories, all contribute their knowledge and expertise to advance the EMV specifications. EMVCo also engages with regional and global organizations to receive input and share perspective on areas of respective interest, both directly and through other member bodies. So that's a bit of background on EMVCo, who we are, where we fit in the broader picture. And now I'd like to hand things over to Bastian.
Thanks a lot, Brian. After this introduction, let's go through some details on why EMV QR codes for payments. And let's start from the beginning. First, on what are the QR, the quick response codes, what they can be used for, and how does EMV Co support their use. So indeed, with the pandemics, some of you, if not most or all of you, are displaying or showing their QR code for the vaccine verification. So QR code is heavily used, and they are based on ISO 18004. It's a compliant ISO 18004 compliant encoding and visualization of data. So think of QR codes as two-dimensional machine-readable barcodes. They store data, such as web address, for example, using black and white squares, which can be read by smartphones or any barcode QR code readers. So scanning of one of these barcodes with a smartphone camera or a barcode reader will connect the scanning device to the information stored within the barcode. Increasingly, the QR codes are used to initiate mobile payments at the point of sale, for example. They are rising in popularity, and they are one emerging solution that can enable contact-free payments. So the EMV QR code specifications help ensure that QR codes are generated in a standardized way, enabling quick, reliable, and trusted transactions for both merchants and consumer. I'll go further into the details later on. EMV Co commenced its QR code activity in 2016 to create a payment specifications that reflected requirements across the payment ecosystem. Yet also delivered universal consistency to consumer and merchants by encouraging collaboration with payment industry participants. In 2017, EMV Co publicly released its QR code payment specifications to define the QR code payments in a manner that works to simplify their development and broaden their acceptance globally. This incorporates two specifications, one for the consumer presented mode, the acronym is CPM, and one for the merchant presented mode, MPM. EMV specifications are not static. As any EMV specs, they regularly evolve. For example, in November 2020, EMV Co released the version 1.1, an update of its QR code specification for CPM and NPM. Further update will, of course, be published in the future to meet market needs. These updates will be led by our QR code task force, which QAN is a member of, in collaboration with the EMV Terminal Approval Working Group for the testing side of it. EMV Co's work in this area is not limited to the specifications, as I just mentioned. However, this webinar will cover the QR code specs, the testing, and the mark management. So let's see how the EMV QR code specifications can benefit the industry. So the EMV QR code specs, testing and marks can help increase choice and participation for payment participants and support the delivery of more inclusive, consistent payment experience for merchant and consumer worldwide. Consumer will benefit from a more uniform experience that offers greater convenience and familiarity. On the technical interoperability side, the specification can coexist with proprietary offerings and support card-based solutions from domestic and international payment programs, as well as account-based in a single QR code. It also aligns with other EMV specifications and technologies. It has confirmed functionalities. An independent laboratory test has been undertaken using a wide range of mobile handsets, and it demonstrated that QR code, the EMV QR code, can be read in less than 1 second, and usually in less than 500 milliseconds for the phones under 33 months old. The formats proposed by EMV Co supports multiple payment options, and the size of the QR code, meaning the number of payment systems that one QR code could support, has no noted impact on the performance. Consumer familiarity. The use of EMV QR payment mark and QR scan icon provide clarity and consistency in communicating QR code acceptance to consumer. This avoids multiple QR codes being displayed at merchant checkouts and consumer confusion at the point of interaction. Consumer choice, as multiple payment options can be presented through one QR code, it delivers wider choice on how the consumer want to pay. It also provides consumer with the opportunity to access alternative payment methods without necessarily requiring high-end device with advanced functionality. Implementation efficiencies. Optimizing an existing and established global infrastructure offers the potential of cost efficiencies by reutilizing existing vendor deployment channels and benefiting from increased flexibility and processing options. And of course, global innovations. The EMV QR code specifications provide the opportunity to use a standard, agreed baseline, and draw upon global expertise to advance and evolve QR code payment in the future to meet operational and technical requirements and innovative functionalities. So the EMV QR code, as I mentioned previously, includes two specs: merchant presented mode and consumer presented mode. The definition and clarity provided by the specification enable merchants to accept QR code payment solutions from various providers in a standardized manner using a single QR code. When developed using the EMV QR code specifications, QR codes can support processing of transactions in less than a second, delivering a quick and easy payment experience for both the merchant and the consumer every time. And the journey is quite usual. The consumer, in terms of consumer presented mode, the consumer will use his phone and display the QR code on the smartphone. The merchant can then read the QR code with the reader, and the merchant POI potentially, or the QR code, on the reader side will be able to extract the information from the QR code and then process the transaction. So the transactions are authorized online and leverage the existing chip infrastructure in the case of consumer presented mode. So the consumer presented case operates in a similar way than card payment chip transactions, except unlike with chip, that the communication is one way. So it's just reading the QR code from the QR code to the merchant. The consumer displays these QR codes on the mobile phone. and then it's read by the merchant. So that's one way. On the merchant presented mode, actually it's almost the same, but the other way. So the merchant displays the QR code and the consumer uses their mobile device to scan the code. This enables consumer to make purchases by scanning a single merchant presented QR code, which can support multiple domestic and international QR payment programs. So the MPM, the merchant presented QR code, is the other common experience for the consumer. In this scenario, the merchant displays the QR code and the consumer uses his camera to scan it. Scanning the code initiates the payment process, which is connected to the consumer payment card and can be performed again within 1 second or less. As a global specification, the EMV QR code can deliver lower deployment and implementation costs through greater efficiencies with vendors, as well as increased flexibility of processing options. It should be noted that the scope of the EMV QR code specification is limited to the QR code itself and the way the data is coded into this QR code. The specific network messaging and processing are left to the payment providers. And with that, I leave it to you, Brian, to continue with the key benefits.
Thank you, Bastien. So the EMV QR code specifications help merchants and consumers take advantage of the speed and convenience and ease of QR code payments by providing a common foundation for the development and the deployment of QR code payment solutions. This means that QR code payments will work in the same way no matter where they're used. Solution providers can have increased confidence that solutions will work anywhere they're implemented. Support for domestic and international card-based and account scheme, and account-based programs is supported by the specifications. Confirmed functionality, the spec is flexible enough to support a robust and secure implementation. And merchants can provide their customers with a wide range of payment options, including one single QR code, one single QR code at checkout. Acceptance of international payment brands and domestic networks, support of loyalty, reward programs, flexible and efficient processing options, minimal setup and low cost, and hopefully an easy to maintain infrastructure. And of course, for consumers, they get to choose their preferred payment option on their device, and then they can just scan one QR code, which is going to result in a quick and easy checkout and a consistent and familiar payment experience for them. So payment convenience and choice, we know are important to consumers and increasingly important to consumers. More people around the world are using QR codes to pay. They're rising in popularity. I mean, as we all know, the pandemic is awful and it continues to be an awful and terrible thing. It has, however, stimulated growth in payment sectors, including touchless payments, and we're seeing that growth happening in countries all around the world. And not only are we seeing an organic growth commercially, but we're seeing governments getting involved, prioritizing QR code payments, and looking at what they think we should be doing in the QR code, or their country should be doing in the QR code payment space. So, although some countries and regions are considering their own closed-loop QR code standards, over 30 countries are leveraging the benefits that come with the functional, secure, and interoperable standard by adopting the EMV QR code. In most cases, they're adopting the merchant-presented specification, with a third of those countries using it as the basis for a national standard. So talking about countries that are adopting the EMV specification for their solutions, we're very pleased that we have the chance to hear directly from the Payment Association of South Africa on the adoption in South Africa and how the market is seeing the benefits of EMV QR code to maintain international interoperability. So again, welcome to Johan. And Johan, I'd like to kick off by asking you, what opportunities and challenges is the growth of QR code payments representing in South Africa?
Great. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Brian. So I think from a South African perspective, we have what we call a dual economy. We have a very formal and mature and digital economy on the one side, such as the formal retail space. E-commerce is quite popular, and we have mature systems like the card system, electronic funds transfers, real-time clearing capability. But then we've got another side of the economy, which is very cash-heavy, cash-dependent. And if we think about QR codes and what we've seen from other jurisdictions as well, is that QR codes can really serve that portion of the market where you don't necessarily have the required infrastructure for things like a expensive point of sale device. So that's really where we find that the opportunities for South Africa is getting the call it the informal side of the cash heavy side of the market, getting QR codes to those merchants and consumers and start getting them into the formal economy. I do think a challenge that we do have in South Africa is we are embarking on a QR code standardization journey, or we are on the journey for quite some time already. But the way that we have traditionally deployed QR codes in SA has been on a card, and more specifically, a card debit pool mechanism. Now, what we have seen in successful standardizations across the world is often linked to a real-time payment solution or a card push capability. And we have the card pool system. So we have to bridge that gap to see how we can actually leverage a single QR code that can be used for card pool and card push, but also any other payment system, be it a real-time payment solution, EFT, or whatever mechanism it might be.
Very interesting, thank you. And can you let us know why did PASA choose the EMV QR code specification?
Sure. So when we started out, we had quite an in-depth debate regarding, do we create a very SA-specific standard, or do we adopt something that's already available internationally? And obviously, you have pros and cons to both of them. Yes, you can create something very specific to your market, but you do run a risk of removing yourself from international developments and trends. And as you mentioned yourself, what has happened through COVID, we've seen how borderless the world very quickly became. And even though this journey started before COVID, we realized we didn't want to remove ourselves or run the risk of removing ourselves from international developments, and decided, let's see what else there is in the world that we can leverage. So then we had a look, and I think the EMV Co specifications were quite a natural fit because we believe it provides the flexibility that we're looking for. Again, we are looking for something that does not lock in a very specific payment system like card, but in South Africa and on our modernization journey, we are also looking at a much cheaper real-time payment solution system. And we are hoping to have a couple of years down the line, a single QR code at a merchant, and a consumer can actually scan that and hopefully choose, do you do card, do you do a real-time payment, or whatever the case might be. So the EMV specification does, in our opinion, provide the flexibility to do that. But on top of that, I think, you know, in South Africa, we boast about the EMV compliance that we have in the country. Our chip and PIN and is quite proliferate, and we're quite proud about the number of terminals and ATMs and cards we have converted. Well, in essence, basically or nearly all of them. So we are very well versed in the EMV technologies and specifications, and for us, it was really a natural fit. And again, I think the specifications are flexible enough to serve our, I think, quite diverse and high expectations.
Thank you. You've touched on a few of these, but are there other benefits that PASA expects to see in South Africa, just overall, due to an increase in QR code payments?
Definitely, Brian. So whatever initiative we embark on from an industry perspective, we embed that and build that on the foundation of policy objectives, right? So we take guidance from the South African Reserve Bank's Vision 2025, and in there they've got a number of industry goals which we all have to at least attempt to achieve. If we think of QR codes and QR code standardization, it really ticks many of those boxes. So if we think of something like financial inclusion, I touched on the informal economy currently being excluded from formal financial services. You can actually start incorporating those into the market. Cost effectiveness, point of sale devices are quite expensive, and they don't really serve every use case in the market. QR code is a very simple and cheap solution. We spoke about, or in your presentation earlier, you touched on interoperability. So regional integration and the potential for global interoperability is again something you don't want to shy away from, and another box I want to tick. So I think just from a policy perspective, we are ticking many of those boxes through standardization, but I also want to state that as with many things in payments, there's no silver bullet to this, and just adopting a QR code specification does not solve the world. But that being said, we really believe it's the very first step to ensuring you have a more consistent and less fragmented market, and also reduce barriers to entry to promote competition and innovation. So there are definitely many benefits for the greater national payment system.
Thank you, Johan. Really appreciate you sharing your insights. And you were speaking about innovation. And so with that, I would like to hand it over to Bastian now to talk about what might be coming in the future.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Johan. And thank you for providing this link to the next step. Indeed, looking at what's next for the EMV QR code specifications, and what are the future direction that EMVCo is taking on EMV QR code. So we have covered the QR code specifications and how they are currently used today, and again, Johan described it for South Africa. So I also want to briefly look forward on how the EMV QR specs may evolve, and potential opportunities for different scenarios, use cases to support changes in technology and payments. I mentioned it, the EMV specifications and even more the QR code ones are not static. They're regularly evolved based on feedback that we receive. So we want to support innovation in payments, and new payment applications that can benefit the merchant and the consumer with new choices and convenience. So the EMV technologies can be used together. It's not only about EMV QR code, but the tokenization framework and potentially 3DS if need be, and other technologies can be used together to provide payment innovation and choice for merchant and consumer. So indeed, I mentioned the other specs, and one good example of this work is the combination of the use of QR codes, EMV QR codes, and EMV Secure Remote Commerce, SRC. Which is being led by the SRC working group. So let me introduce quickly what is SRC. The SRC specification, again, SRC stands for Secure Remote Commerce. So the SRC specifications enable a common consumer e-checkout known as Click to Pay. This provides the opportunity for all merchants globally, regardless of their size, to offer a trusted, safe, and convenient card-based payment to consumer shopping online. So by enabling a common experience across online commerce sites, EMV SRC removes the barrier to the purchasing process that can lead to abandonment, such as entering card and shipping informations, for example. So participating merchant can use the click-to per icon to help consumer easily recognize when the technology is in place. So similarly to the symbol for contactless, for example, I mean, consumer can see that the technology is accessible and is in place. So if you are not familiar with the EMV SRC technology, the specifications and SRC in general, there are a lot of resources available on the EMVCo website, and please have a look. So as merchant acceptance evolves, and merchants want to be able to accept payment via other digital channels, we talk about omni-channels here, and consumers want to be able to use their preferred technology for payments. We thought that combining the use of EMV SRC with the EMV QR code merchant presented mode could enable the merchants to leverage the security, convenience, and choice of the click-to-pay checkout experience for consumer paying with a QR code in a face-to-face environment. So we are working on this, and EMVCo continues to work with its associates and subscribers in order to developing the use of its EMV specifications such as QR code and SRC, and work on the benefit that they could that the combined use of these specs can deliver. And with that, Brian, you can say a few words on the industry participation, probably.
Thanks, Bastian, and thank you for providing that look into some of the future considerations for the EMV QR code specifications. As with all of our specs, industry stakeholders are encouraged to participate in the ongoing work to enhance and evolve the EMV QR code specifications. Active engagement and collaboration with the payments industry is key to EMVCo's proven model for creating, evolving, and promoting globally adopted specifications that can support innovation and meet marketplace needs. All interested parties can contribute their knowledge and expertise to the development of the EMV specifications through the EMVCo associates and subscriber programs. The Get Involved section of the EMVCo website provides a lot of additional information about these opportunities. And please note that in addition to the specs, we have many supporting resources available on the EMVCo website, including a dedicated trademark center for accessing the EMV QR marks and EMV QR marks best practice use case guide. And while the actual processing of QR code application transactions is outside of EMVCo scope, we recognize the value in offering a variety of use case examples to outline the consumer transaction experience. And that's why we've produced one of the longest names we have for a document, the EMV QR marks best practice use case guide for guidance on how each of those marks should be used in both consumer presented and merchant presented scenarios. And this document was written for those involved in planning, implementing, deploying, or supporting EMV merchant QR codes. The document also provides guidance on how the consumer QR code application reading of the merchant QR code should process the data. Please note all of the additional channels that you can see on the screen here, the multiple ways that we share information. Please connect with us, stay up to date on what we're doing. And finally, we just really would like to thank all of you for taking the time to join us today. And I'd like to thank Johan again for participating, and thank you, Bastian. And thank you, Kwan.
Thank you.
And
thanks everyone.
And thanks to the EMVCo team in the background who made all of this work so smoothly. Thank you to all of you.